with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com, and today's topic is the powers that were and hoarding information. So what someone had asked me was, I'm very interested in a reading about how the PTW, which I refer to them all the time, the powers that were, because we don't want to give them any more power than what they already think they have. So I just refer to them as the powers that were, are trying to suppress and hoard information for themselves. So this person wanted to know, what is that all about? What are they doing? And the first thing I hear is, knowledge is power, power is control, and control is money. The PTW realize this, so they want to make sure that they hoard the knowledge for themselves. They don't want to give their knowledge up, because then they're giving up their power and their influence. You can take a person, give them knowledge, and in the right situation, they can lead a movement either in thought or physically. So, you know, those powers that want the control, they don't want anybody to have a one-up on them or have any kind of a competitive edge. So they want to keep all this knowledge and all this control for themselves. So the big question is, how are they doing it? The one thing they do is they alter history. They rewrite facts and they play into people's emotions. And it's true that history repeats itself, but their real power is knowing how a situation was created so they can prevent it from happening, either good or bad, so it doesn't impact or affect an agenda. So if they have an agenda in play and they historically see how maybe those agendas were overthrown, maybe people revolted, maybe something's going on, they don't want any kind of sequence of events to line up that's going to ruin what it is that they want to occur. And you also have to remember too that the winners write the history books. And in our day of electronic media, the PTW can influence and change how real events went down. And there's certain things out there that maybe you lived through them and you witnessed it. Go and do your research and see how that history's changed when you know for a fact how things were because you experienced it. Or perhaps maybe you learned about something in school, and you know, could be in relationship to a war or some kind of an event like that. Go and look and read up on it now. There's a good chance that there's a lot of conflicting information out there because they want to keep people just not really knowing, keep you in that state of wondering. I also saw that they know how things are going to come full circle, but if they know what to watch for, like maybe a leader that could emerge or change a timeline in motion, they're going to do what they can to stop it. They see a government being slowly altered, and they don't want that information seeping into the subconscious, so they have to rework their approach to accomplish their control. And there was a really great quote by Reagan, and I'm going to read this quote out there. Let's see what you guys think of this. So this quote, and this is in relationship to what I had said about how they might see a government being altered, and they don't want people to really acknowledge it or put too much thought in it, so they sort of sweep things under the rug. But listen to this quote. One of the traditional methods of imposing statism or socialism on a people have been ways of medicine. It's very easy to disguise a medical program as a humanitarian project. Most people are a little reluctant to oppose anything that suggests medical care for people who possibly can't afford it. So what does this sound like to you? Powers that were, they can see this trend of, you know, these actions now of how we're being sort of bamboozled into thinking that socialism is a good thing. They want to minimize what's happening in Venezuela. They want to not revisit any of these things of where it may have gone bad in the past, because if they can get socialism introduced, that is just more government control over more things. Think about it. How good is the VA working right now? How good are other, you know, government funded things working right now? Could they be better? Well, if we start going the socialist route and give government ultimate control, what we see now for small things that could use some reworking and improvements could be on a bigger scale that impacts a lot more people. So that's also something to think about. I also get that there's such a greater wisdom out there, that ancient methods of understanding things such as astrology and healing, it just feels to be a lost art. I mean, yes, people do practice it. They do try to reclaim some of that wisdom, but I get a lot of it's lost, and I'm unclear if there was some kind of an illusion or something of a rather important building or structure being destroyed. It looks like a fire, but it looks like some of this information was actually hidden because of this loss, and there was lost knowledge that was destroyed with this fire. And the only way the knowledge is transferred now is from person to person. But I did get that some of the originals of the documents, they look like scrolls, are tucked away and used by the PTW to gain some kind of edge while they plot their path. And to further explain that, what I saw was this image of this building in flames. And my impression was there was something very important within this building, some kind of scrolls that had knowledge, whether it was some kind of ancient astrology, medicinal, healing, some kind of history was within this building. There was an illusion that this building burnt to the ground with all the items within it. Nothing was salvageable, or very few things were salvageable. But in reality, the items within it were stolen and relocated to be used by these powerful elite. And then the building was burnt down. And so people that thought the knowledge burnt down with it, that was just a complete smokescreen, literally, for what really happened. And lastly, I see the PTW. They're trying to manipulate time and circumstances through Project Looking Glass, which I did a reading on that earlier. And they use this device, basically, to look and attempt to travel through time. The issue with that is they know only enough to be dangerous, but they don't fully know what they're doing. So they base decisions on false information because they're not even using it properly. So that's another issue of how they hoard and try to use this information both for their own personal gain and against us. That was really all I had on this, but I'm curious your thoughts or your feelings on what you think the PTW are up to and what they're doing. So I'll leave you with that, but please feel free to leave a comment. And again, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thanks. Bye.